The information provided in this presentation is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute professional security or legal advice. The views expressed are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views of any associated organizations. Always consult with a qualified cybersecurity professional and legal counsel for your specific circumstances. It's 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Your phone buzzes on the nightstand, a frantic, vibrating sound that rips you out of a dead sleep. It's your head of engineering. Their voice is tight, panicked. They say 2 words you never want to hear. We're down. But it's worse than that. It's not just down. It's gone. The entire production database, every customer record, every transaction, every piece of user data your company has ever collected has been wiped clean, replaced by a single text file with a Bitcoin address and a ransom demand. You ask how? How did they get past the firewalls? The intrusion detection systems? And the answer is a gut punch. It wasn't a brute force attack. It wasn't a sophisticated zero-day exploit. It was a single S3 bucket, a single storage container in your Amazon Web Services account, left publicly accessible by a junior developer pushing a test build. That's it. One checkbox in one console somewhere in the digital ether. That one tiny mistake just cost your company millions of dollars, evaporated customer trust built over a decade, and put you on the front page of every tech blog for all the wrong reasons. This isn't a hypothetical horror story. This exact scenario, or a variation of it, plays out every single day for businesses across the United States. In fact, according to recent industry reports, over 80% of all data breaches in the last 2 years have involved data stored in the cloud. Let me say that again. 80%. The very technology that has promised to make us more agile, more scalable, and more innovative has become our single greatest point of failure. And here's the brutal truth. It's not the cloud's fault. It's ours. We have sprinted into a new technological paradigm, a new way of building and running companies, while dragging our old, outdated security mindset behind us like an anchor. We are trying to protect a city in the sky with the blueprints for a medieval castle. For decades, cybersecurity was simple. Not easy, but simple. You had a building, and inside that building you had a server room. You put a lock on the door. You built a digital wall around your network, a perimeter, a moat. You controlled everything that came in and everything that went out. Your job was to protect the castle. But in the cloud, there is no castle. There is no perimeter. Your data doesn't live in a server rack down the hall. It lives in a massive, hyper-distributed data center in Ashburn, Virginia, or the Dalles, Oregon, right alongside your competitors' data. Your applications aren't monolithic programs running on a single machine. They are a sprawling collection of microservices, serverless functions, and third-party APIs, talking to each other across the public internet. The front door isn't a physical port anymore. It's an API key. It's a line of code. It's a set of permissions granted to a developer on their laptop at a Starbucks. The attack surface has exploded from a single defensible point to potentially millions of them, scattered across the globe. And this is where the fundamental and frankly dangerous misunderstanding of cloud computing comes in. When you move to a provider like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, or Google Cloud Platform, you enter into something called the shared responsibility model. The cloud provider, let's say Amazon, is responsible for the security of the cloud. They secure the physical data centers with guards and gates. They secure the hardware, the servers, the networking cables. They protect the fundamental infrastructure that runs their services. But you are responsible for security in the cloud. You are responsible for your data. You are responsible for configuring your network access. You are responsible for managing who has permissions to do what. You are responsible for encrypting your information. Amazon gives you all the tools you need to build an impenetrable fortress, but they also give you all the rope you need to hang yourself. They secure the building, but you are the one who decides whether to leave the front door unlocked and all the windows wide open. That S3 bucket in our opening story? That was not Amazon's failure. That was the customer's failure. And that is the critical knowledge gap this series is designed to close. Over the next 10 parts, we are going to arm you with a new mental model for security in the 21st century. This isn't for a niche audience of cybersecurity professionals with a dozen certifications. This is for developers, for DevOps engineers, for IT managers, for startup founders, and for any business leader who is building their future on the cloud. You will learn to identify the most common and catastrophic cloud misconfigurations that lead to disaster. You will understand the subtle but critical differences between identity management in a traditional network versus the cloud. We will demystify the alphabet soup of cloud security services and show you which ones actually matter and how to implement them effectively. You will walk away from this series not with a list of facts to memorize, but with a strategic framework for thinking about risk, defense, and resilience in a cloud-native world. We are going to transform your perspective from one of fear and uncertainty to one of confidence and control. Why is this so urgent right now? Because the game has changed. The last few years saw the single largest and fastest migration of corporate infrastructure in history. Forced by the new reality of remote work, companies that had a 5-year cloud migration plan suddenly had to execute it in 5 weeks. They lifted and shifted decades of legacy applications, complex dependencies, and old security policies into an environment they barely understood. It was the equivalent of moving an entire city's population onto a fleet of rockets and hoping you'd figure out how to steer them once you reached orbit. The result is a digital landscape littered with security holes. And the attackers have noticed. They aren't lone hackers in hoodies anymore. They are sophisticated, state-sponsored organizations and well-funded criminal enterprises. They use automation and AI to scan the entire internet for these simple misconfigurations, these unlocked digital doors. They are operating at a scale and speed that is simply impossible to defend against with manual human-led processes. They are weaponizing our own complexity against us. So, we find ourselves at a critical inflection point. The cloud is not an option anymore. It is the fundamental utility of modern business, like electricity or the internet itself. It is the engine of American innovation. But to harness its full potential, we have to master its risks. We can't treat security as an afterthought, a checkbox on a compliance form, or something we bolt on at the end of a project. It has to be woven into the very fabric of how we build, deploy, and manage our applications in the cloud. It has to be part of the culture. To do that, we have to start by clearing away the fog. And the thickest fog surrounds that single most important concept we mentioned earlier, the shared responsibility model. It is the bedrock of everything that follows. Understanding truly and deeply where your cloud provider's responsibility ends and where yours begins is the absolute first step toward building a secure presence in the cloud. It's the line in the sand. And for most companies, that line is blurry at best and completely invisible at worst. Before we can even begin to talk about firewalls, encryption, or identity access management, we have to get this right. We have to shatter the most pervasive and dangerous myth in all of cloud computing. The idea that by moving to the cloud, you've somehow outsourced your security. You haven't. In reality, you've taken on more responsibility than ever before. Let's break down exactly what that means. To understand this new responsibility, I want you to imagine you're moving out of your house in the suburbs and into a state-of-the-art, high-security apartment building in the middle of a bustling city. Let's call this building the Cloud Tower. The company that owns the Cloud Tower, let's say it's Amazon, Google, or Microsoft, is the landlord. And they are absolutely world-class. They've spared no expense on security. The building's foundation is earthquake-proof. The walls are reinforced concrete. There are biometric scanners at every entrance, armed guards patrolling the perimeter 24/7, and a sophisticated surveillance system that would make a spy agency jealous. They are responsible for the security of the building itself. They guarantee that no one can tunnel in from underneath or rappel down from the roof to break in. They secure the physical structure, the electricity, the plumbing, the shared entryways. Now, you rent an apartment on the 50th floor. You move all your priceless art, your family heirlooms, your life savings, and your most sensitive documents inside. The landlord has given you a secure space. But here's the critical question. Did you lock your front door? Did you use the cheap, flimsy lock that came with the door? Or did you install a high-tech deadbolt? Did you leave your window wide open? Did you write the key code to your safe on a sticky note and put it on the fridge? Did you give a spare key to a complete stranger you met in the elevator? You see, the landlord can build an impenetrable fortress, but they can't stop you from inviting a burglar inside for dinner. And that is the absolute core of cloud security. It's a concept called the shared responsibility model. It's not a catchy marketing term. It is the fundamental principle that governs the entire relationship between you and your cloud provider. Let's break it down. The cloud provider is responsible for the security of the cloud. This is their side of the bargain. They are securing the global infrastructure that runs all of their services. We're talking about the physical data centers, massive, anonymous buildings protected by fences, guards, and layers of security checkpoints. They handle the security of the hardware inside, the servers, the storage arrays, the networking equipment. They ensure that the power and cooling systems have backups for their backups. They also secure the foundational software that makes the cloud work, like the hypervisor, the complex technology that allows them to slice up one giant physical server into hundreds of tiny, isolated virtual machines for different customers. Their job is to make sure that your virtual machine can never, ever see the data of the company in the virtual machine next door. The security of the cloud is what you're paying for. It's the concrete and steel of the cloud tower. But you, the customer, are responsible for security in the cloud. This is your side. And it's a much longer, more complex list than most people realize. First and foremost, you are responsible for your data. The cloud provider gives you a place to store it, but they have no idea what it is. Is it a collection of cat photos? Or is it the social security numbers of 10 million customers? Is it public information? Or is it classified corporate strategy? You are responsible for classifying it, protecting it, and most importantly, encrypting it. Putting unencrypted, sensitive data in the cloud is the digital equivalent of leaving stacks of cash on your apartment balcony, with a sign that says, "Please don't steal." Next, you're responsible for what's called Identity and Access Management, or IAM. This is the single most critical aspect of your responsibility. In our apartment analogy, IAM is deciding who gets a key. Who gets the master key that opens every door? Who only gets the key to the broom closet? You have to manage your users, their passwords, and their permissions. You must enforce the principle of least privilege, a fancy term for a simple common sense idea. Only give people the absolute minimum level of access they need to do their job. Your marketing intern does not need access to the core financial databases. Your janitor doesn't need the keys to the CEO's office. In the cloud, a single compromised user account with excessive permissions is the #1 way attackers get in. It's not a brute force assault on the data center walls. It's an attacker politely walking through the front door using a key you accidentally left under the mat. Then there's your network configuration. The cloud gives you incredible tools to build your own virtual private networks, with your own firewalls and routing rules. This is like designing the layout of your apartment. Which doors connect to which rooms? Are there any windows looking out into a public alleyway? A misconfigured firewall rule is like leaving your front door unlocked and ajar 24/7. And finally, you're responsible for the security of your applications and operating systems. If you spin up a virtual server, you are responsible for installing security patches for the operating system. You're responsible for ensuring the code you write and deploy doesn't have vulnerabilities. The cloud provider gives you a perfectly secure oven, but if you put a faulty, flammable toaster on top of it and it burns your apartment down, that's on you. This division of labor can shift slightly depending on the type of cloud service you're using. If you're using infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, you're essentially renting the raw computing, storage, and networking. It's like renting that empty apartment shell. You have the most control, but also the most responsibility. You're managing everything from the operating system on up. If you use platform as a service, or PaaS, the provider manages the underlying operating system and middleware for you. This is like renting a furnished apartment. The landlord provides the bed, the couch, the appliances. You're still responsible for your personal belongings and locking the door, but you don't have to worry about whether the refrigerator is properly wired. Finally, there's software as a service, or SaaS, which is what most people use every day. Think of Gmail or Salesforce. This is like staying in a hotel. The provider manages almost everything: the application, the data, the servers. Your only real responsibilities are managing who has access and protecting your own password. Google secures Gmail's infrastructure, but they can't stop you from clicking on a phishing link and giving your password away. The reason this model is so crucial to understand is because it's where almost every major cloud security breach originates. The headlines we read about massive data leaks are almost never the result of a hacker breaching Amazon's or Microsoft's physical data centers. That's the stuff of movies. The reality is far more mundane and far more terrifying. It's an engineer who accidentally configured a storage bucket to be publicly accessible. It's a developer who hard-coded a secret access key into their code and uploaded it to a public repository. It's a company that failed to enforce multi-factor authentication, allowing an attacker to waltz right in with a simple stolen password. The cloud providers have built the most secure fortresses in the history of computing, but they have handed you the keys to your own private kingdom inside its walls. They've given you the tools to build moats and drawbridges, or to leave every gate wide open. The power is immense, but so is the potential for a self-inflicted disaster. So now we understand the division of labor. We know who is responsible for what. But what exactly are we defending against? Who are these digital burglars trying to pick the locks on our cloud apartments? What tools and tricks are they using? It's time to meet the enemy. In the next part, we're going to pull back the curtain on the top threats lurking in the cloud today. From the shadowy world of nation-state hackers to the devastatingly simple power of a single forgotten password. That single forgotten password. It sounds so trivial, doesn't it? Like a misplaced house key. But in the cloud, that one weak link can be the difference between a thriving business and a digital crater. It's the unlocked door in a fortress, and there are entire armies of adversaries who do nothing but walk the digital streets, checking every single handle. To understand how to defend the cloud, we first have to understand who's trying to break in. This isn't a single monolithic enemy. It's a complex ecosystem of threat actors, each with different motives, different tools, and different levels of sophistication. Let's start with the one nobody wants to talk about. The ghost in the machine. The insider threat. We imagine hackers as shadowy figures in hoodies thousands of miles away. But often, the most significant danger is already inside the building with a keycard and a login. This threat comes in two flavors, the malicious and the accidental. The malicious insider is your classic disgruntled employee. Someone who feels wronged, passed over for a promotion, or is on their way out the door and decides to take a little something with them. They know the systems. They know where the valuable data, the customer list, the financial records, the intellectual property is stored. They have legitimate access, which makes their activity incredibly difficult to detect. They're not breaking down a door. They're using their own key to walk out with the crown jewels. But far more common, and in many ways more dangerous, is the accidental insider. This is Sarah from accounting. She's a great employee, loves her job, but she's busy. She gets an email that looks like it's from IT, asking her to reset her password due to a security update. The link looks legitimate. The login page looks identical to the real one. She types in her old password and her new one. And just like that, without even knowing it, she's handed the keys to a criminal. She didn't mean to. She wasn't malicious. She was just human. She was tricked. This is the essence of phishing. It exploits our trust and our tendency to move quickly. And in a cloud environment where that one login can grant access to dozens of critical applications, one well-meaning mistake can trigger a catastrophe. The enemy in this case wasn't a super hacker. It was a simple, deceptive email and a moment of human error. Next on our list is the digital opportunist. Think of these actors as the petty thieves of the internet. They aren't necessarily targeting you specifically. They're targeting everyone. They use automated tools to scan the vast expanse of the internet, looking for easy targets. They're checking for those unlocked doors. What does an unlocked door look like in the cloud? It could be a misconfigured Amazon S3 bucket, a storage container that was accidentally set to public instead of private, exposing sensitive customer data to the entire world. It could be a server running outdated software with a well-known vulnerability that the IT team just hasn't gotten around to patching yet. These opportunists use something called credential stuffing. They take massive lists of usernames and passwords stolen from previous data breaches. Think of the billions of credentials leaked from sites like LinkedIn or Yahoo over the years, and they use bots to try those same combinations on thousands of other websites, including your company's cloud services. They're betting on human nature. They're betting you use the same password for your fantasy football league in 2012 that you now use for your corporate cloud account. And frighteningly often, that bet pays off. This isn't a sophisticated, targeted attack. It's a high-volume, low-effort numbers game. They are carpet-bombing the internet with old passwords, just waiting for something to stick. And when it does, they're in. Now let's move up the food chain to the organized crime syndicates of the digital world. These are not lone wolves. They are sophisticated, professional businesses whose product is extortion. Their primary weapon is ransomware. You've heard the term, but do you understand the business model? It's terrifyingly efficient. These groups operate ransomware as a service. They develop the malicious software, then lease it out to affiliates who carry out the attacks. They have development teams, quality assurance testers, customer support for negotiating ransoms, and even a PR department that manages their reputation on the dark web. When they breach a network, often through a phishing email or an unpatched vulnerability found by the opportunists, they don't just lock the files. That's the old way. The modern approach is double, sometimes triple extortion. First, they quietly infiltrate the network and spend weeks, sometimes months, mapping everything out. They identify the most critical data and they exfiltrate it. They steal a copy for themselves. Then, and only then, do they deploy the ransomware, encrypting every file and bringing the entire organization to a grinding halt. The first ransom demand is to get the decryption key to unlock your own files. But if you refuse to pay, they move to phase 2. They threaten to leak all that sensitive data they stole. Customer information, employee records, trade secrets, all of it posted publicly for the world to see. This is how they brought Colonial Pipeline, a major U.S. fuel supplier, to its knees. It wasn't a problem of just getting the systems back online. It was the threat of a massive data breach. These are not hackers in a basement. They are ruthless, for-profit corporations, and the cloud, with its vast concentration of data, is their most lucrative hunting ground. Finally, we arrive at the apex predator of cyberspace, the nation-state actor, the sovereign hacker. These are the intelligence agencies and military cyber warfare units of foreign governments. Their motives are not financial. They are playing a much bigger game. They want geopolitical advantage, industrial secrets, and the ability to disrupt critical infrastructure. They are the master spies of the digital age. They are behind what we call Advanced Persistent Threats, or APTs. The name says it all. Advanced because they use sophisticated, often custom-built tools and zero-day exploits, vulnerabilities that nobody else even knows exist. Persistent because once they get into a network, they don't smash and grab. They stay. They move silently, laterally, for months or even years, learning the environment, escalating their privileges, and slowly achieving their objectives without ever being detected. The infamous SolarWinds attack is the textbook example. Hackers backed by a foreign government didn't attack their targets directly. Instead, they compromised the software update mechanism of a popular IT management tool called SolarWinds. When thousands of companies and government agencies, including parts of the Pentagon and the Department of Homeland Security, downloaded the legitimate trusted software update, they were unknowingly installing a backdoor for these spies. It was brilliant, patient, and devastatingly effective. For these actors, the cloud is the ultimate espionage target. It's where governments store their secrets, where corporations design their next-generation fighter jets, and where the research for life-saving vaccines is held. Gaining access to a major cloud provider is the holy grail, a single point of entry to thousands of high-value targets. So you have the insider, the opportunist, the organized crime syndicate, and the nation-state spy. For completely different enemies, all knocking on the same digital door. They all exploit different weaknesses, from human psychology to a single line of miswritten code. But they all have one thing in common. To do any real damage, they first need to get in. They need to establish a foothold. And that almost always begins with compromising an identity. It starts with that one password, that one set of credentials that lets them pretend to be someone they're not. We've met the villains. We understand their motives. Now it's time to examine the battlefield itself. In the next part, we're going to dissect the very concept of digital identity and why protecting it is the absolute bedrock of all cloud security. We'll explore the humble password, why it's so fundamentally broken, and what's coming to replace it. This is the front line of the war for the cloud. Imagine for a moment a single key. Not just any key, but a master key. A key that doesn't just open the front door to your house, but also starts your car, unlocks your phone, accesses your bank account, and even signs legal documents in your name. In the physical world, such a key would be unthinkable. We guard it with our lives. Yet, in the digital world, we create and use these master keys every single day. We call them identities. Your digital identity, your username, your email address, your credentials, is the master key to your entire life online. And in the vast, interconnected world of the cloud, it's not just the key to your data. It's often the key to the kingdom for the entire organization you work for. This is why identity is the new battlefield. The old model of cybersecurity was a castle with a moat. You built a strong wall, a firewall, around your company's data center, and you trusted everyone who was inside the walls. But the cloud obliterated that model. There are no walls anymore. Your data isn't in a castle. It's everywhere. It's on servers in Virginia, in databases in Ireland, on your laptop in a coffee shop, and on your phone in your pocket. The only thing that connects you to that data, the only thing that proves you have a right to access it, is your identity. The perimeter is no longer the building, the perimeter is you. And the primary way we've chosen to defend this new perimeter for the last 60 years is, frankly, a joke. It's the humble password. The password was invented at MIT in 1961 for a system called the Compatible Time-Sharing System. The idea was simple. Multiple users could share one giant, expensive mainframe computer, and a secret word would keep their files separate. For that era, it was a brilliant solution. But we're not in that era anymore. The computing power used to invent the password is now dwarfed by the power in a cheap musical greeting card. Today, the password is the weakest link in almost every security system on the planet. Why? Because it violates the two fundamental rules of security. Humans are forgetful and humans are lazy. We're asked to create a unique, long, complex password for every single one of the dozens, sometimes hundreds of services we use. It's an impossible task. So what do? We reuse passwords. We use simple, memorable ones like our pet's name or password 123. And hackers know this. They aren't sitting in a dark room guessing your password. They're using automation. They run brute force attacks that try billions of combinations a second. More effectively, they use something called credential stuffing. When a big website gets breached, and they all get breached eventually, hackers download the entire list of usernames and passwords. They then take that list and use bots to automatically try those same email and password combinations on every other major service on the internet. Your bank, your email, your company's cloud portal. And because so many people reuse passwords, they get in. It's less like picking a lock and more like just having a copy of the key. But even a strong, unique password isn't enough. Because the most effective attacks don't break the lock. They trick you into handing over the key. This is called social engineering, and it is the single greatest threat to cloud security today. There is no better example of this than the chaos that descended on Las Vegas in the fall of 2023. Two of the biggest casino giants in the world, MGM Resorts and Caesars Entertainment, were brought to their knees. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar shutdown. Hotel doors wouldn't open. Slot machines went dark. ATMs stopped working. The systems that run everything from reservations to payroll were completely paralyzed. This wasn't a sophisticated piece of malware that wormed its way through their firewalls. It wasn't an army of super hackers who found a secret flaw in their code. Started with a phone call. A hacker, likely part of a group known as Scattered Spider, simply went on LinkedIn. They found an employee who worked in the company's IT department. Armed with a name and a job title, they called the IT help desk, pretending to be that employee. They claimed they had forgotten their password and needed it reset. The help desk technician, trying to be helpful, followed their procedure and, after a few basic questions, reset the password. And just like that, the hacker was in. They had the master key. From that one single compromised identity, they moved through the network, escalating their privileges, stealing more credentials, and ultimately deploying ransomware that encrypted the casino's most critical systems, demanding a multi-million-dollar ransom. The entire attack, from the initial phone call to total system lockdown, took less than 20 minutes. This is the terrifying reality of modern cloud security. It doesn't matter if you have the most advanced, expensive, AI-powered threat detection system in the world. If a hacker can convince a single employee to reset a password, all of it can be bypassed. So how do we fight this? We have to change the very definition of a key. We have to demand more than one form of proof. This is the principle behind multi-factor authentication, or MFA. You've probably used it without even knowing the name. It's when you log into your bank, and after you enter your password, it sends a 6-digit code to your phone. MFA is built on a simple, powerful concept. To prove your identity, you need to provide evidence from at least 2 of 3 possible categories. Something you know, like a password or a PIN, something you have like your phone or a physical security key, and something you are like your fingerprint or your face. By requiring 2 different factors, you raise the bar for an attacker exponentially. A hacker in Russia might steal your password from a data breach, but they don't have your phone in their hand. They can't get that 6-digit code. MFA is the single most effective security control you can implement to protect an account. It turns an easily stolen secret into a much harder physical challenge. But even MFA is not a silver bullet. Determined hackers have found ways around it, using techniques like SIM swapping to hijack your phone number, or MFA fatigue attacks, where they spam you with so many push notifications that you eventually just give up and approve one by mistake. This is why real cloud security goes a step beyond just protecting the front door. It operates on a principle known as least privilege. It's a simple idea. No user and no system should ever have more access than the absolute minimum required to do its job. Think about it like a hotel. The general manager has a master key that can open any door. A guest has a key that only opens their room, and only for the duration of their stay. The cleaning staff has a key that opens a set of rooms on one floor, but only during their shift. That's the principle of least privilege. In the cloud, this means when a new software developer joins the team, you don't give them access to the entire codebase and all the production servers. You give them access only to the specific project they're working on. The marketing team's application shouldn't be able to read data from the finance department's database. By carving up permissions this way, you dramatically limit what an attacker can do if they manage to compromise an account. If the MGM hackers had gained access to an account with least privilege permissions, they might have been able to access one small part of the system, but they wouldn't have been able to march across the entire digital kingdom and seize the throne. They would have been contained. Ultimately, the industry is realizing that the password itself is the core problem. We are slowly but surely moving towards a passwordless future. Technologies like passkeys, built on standards called FIDO2 and WebAuthn, are leading the charge. Instead of a password you have to remember, your device, your phone or laptop, securely holds a cryptographic key. To log in, you simply use your device and prove it's you with your fingerprint or face. The key itself never leaves your device. It can't be phished, it can't be stolen from a database, it can't be socially engineered over a phone call to a help desk. It replaces a fragile, forgotten secret with a secure, physical token. Protecting identity is a relentless, dynamic struggle. It's about building layers of defense, from strengthening the front door with MFA to limiting the blast radius with the principle of least privilege, all while paving the way for a future where the broken concept of the password is a relic of the past. We have to assume the attacker is already inside. We have to treat every request to access data with suspicion, verifying identity at every single step. This new philosophy, this constant state of vigilance, has a name: zero trust. But what happens when the threat isn't just a compromised user, but a compromised tool? What happens when the very code we use to build and run our cloud applications is secretly poisoned before it ever reaches us? The war for identity is the front line, but there's a darker, more insidious battlefield emerging in the cloud supply chain, and it represents the next great existential threat. This isn't a hypothetical scenario. This is the new reality of cyber warfare, where the attack doesn't happen at your front door, but in the factory that makes the lock. Welcome to the terrifying world of the software supply chain attack. To understand this, think about building a house. You don't create every single component from scratch. You don't forge your own nails, mill your own lumber, or manufacture your own wiring. You trust suppliers. You buy nails from one company, windows from another, and electrical components from a third. You trust that the nails are solid steel, the windows are properly sealed, and the wiring isn't faulty. Your entire house is built on a foundation of trust in this complex supply chain. Modern cloud software is built the exact same way. A single application might be composed of hundreds, or even thousands of pre-built components. These are open-source libraries, frameworks, and modules, pieces of code written by developers all over the world and shared freely for others to use. A developer building a new photo-sharing app doesn't write their own code for resizing images, connecting to a database, or handling user logins from scratch. They pull in established, trusted libraries to do that work. This is what allows for the incredible speed and innovation of the cloud era. But it also creates a sprawling, invisible network of dependencies, a supply chain of code. And attackers have realized that poisoning one popular component upstream can infect thousands of applications downstream. The watershed moment for this realization, the event that shook the entire cybersecurity industry to its core, was the SolarWinds attack. In December of 2020, the world learned that a sophisticated nation-state actor had pulled off one of the most devastating and elegant cyber espionage campaigns in history. They didn't find a flaw in Microsoft Windows. They didn't brute force their way into the Pentagon's network. They did something far more patient and far more brilliant. They targeted SolarWinds, a company that makes a popular IT management software called Orion. Their goal wasn't to hurt SolarWinds. It was to use them as a Trojan horse. The attackers infiltrated SolarWinds' own development environment. They painstakingly studied how the Orion software was built, compiled, and digitally signed. And then, with surgical precision, they injected a few lines of their own malicious code into the legitimate source code. This tiny malicious implant was then compiled along with the rest of the software, wrapped up in a legitimate software update, and digitally signed by SolarWinds themselves. To any security tool, to any IT administrator, this update looked completely authentic. It had the official, tamper-proof seal of approval. SolarWinds then, as part of its normal business, pushed this poisoned update out to its customers. Over 18,000 organizations, including the U.S. Treasury, the Department of Homeland Security, the Pentagon, and a huge portion of the Fortune 500 downloaded and installed it. The moment they did, a hidden backdoor was activated. It was a sleeper agent, silently calling home to the attackers, awaiting instructions. For months, these attackers had a god-level view into the crown jewels of the United States government and corporate America. They moved silently, stealing data, mapping networks, and establishing a level of persistence that was breathtaking. They didn't break down the door. They had a key to the entire building, delivered by a trusted mailman. The SolarWinds attack was a wake-up call. It proved that the integrity of our software was a matter of national security. But it was just the beginning. The principles of that attack are now being applied at a massive scale in the cloud-native world. Consider the Log4 shell vulnerability, which sent a shockwave through the internet at the end of 2021. Log4j is a humble open-source logging library for the Java programming language. It's not glamorous. Its job is simply to record events that happen in an application, like user logged in or database connection failed. But because it's so useful and reliable, it was used everywhere. It was a foundational brick in millions of applications, from cloud services run by Apple and Amazon to the video game Minecraft. And it contained a catastrophic flaw. A flaw that allowed an attacker to send a simple string of text to an application and gain complete control over the server it was running on. The moment this was discovered, it became a global fire drill. The problem was, most companies didn't even know they were using Log4j. It was often a dependency of a dependency of a dependency, an ingredient in the cake mix that someone else had supplied. Security teams were in a frantic race against attackers, trying to find this ticking time bomb buried deep within their complex cloud environments before it was too late. These two examples highlight the core crisis of the software supply chain. We are building our most critical digital infrastructure on a foundation of code we didn't write, don't fully control, and often don't even know is there. And the attack vectors are multiplying. Attackers now engage in what's called typo squatting. They'll create a malicious library and give it a name that's a common misspelling of a popular legitimate library. A developer in a hurry types the wrong name, and just like that, they've installed malware directly into their development environment. Then there's dependency confusion. An attacker discovers the name of an internal private software package a company uses. They then upload a malicious package with the exact same name to a public repository. When the company's automated build system goes to fetch the components for an application, it can get confused and pull the malicious public version instead of the safe internal one. The battle has fundamentally shifted. We can no longer just focus on building strong walls around our applications. We have to guarantee the integrity of the very bricks we're using to build them. This has led to a revolution in cloud security, a concept known as shifting left. Shifting left means moving security from the very end of the development process to the very beginning. Security is no longer the job of a separate team that inspects the finished product. It's an integrated, automated part of the software assembly line itself. The cornerstone of this new approach is the Software Bill of Materials, or SBOM. Just like a list of ingredients on a food package, an SBOM is a complete inventory of every single component and subcomponent that makes up a piece of software. When the Log4 shell vulnerability was discovered, the companies with a comprehensive SBOM didn't have to panic. They didn't have to guess where they might be vulnerable. They could simply query their inventory, instantly identify every application that used the compromised library, and begin patching. The US government now mandates that any company providing software to federal agencies must provide an SBOM. It's becoming the industry standard. Alongside the SBOM, automated tools now constantly scan code as it's being written. They check every open source library a developer tries to add against a massive database of known vulnerabilities, flagging risks in real time. This is like having a safety inspector watching over the shoulder of every single construction worker. Furthermore, we're seeing a massive emphasis on cryptographic code signing and verification within the build pipeline itself. This creates a chain of custody, from the moment a developer commits their code, to the moment it's compiled, packaged, and deployed to the cloud. It carries a digital signature that can be verified at every step. This ensures that a SolarWinds-style attack, where malware is injected during the build process, becomes vastly more difficult, as the tampering would break the cryptographic seal. We are in an arms race. For every new defense we create, attackers devise a new way to infiltrate the supply chain. They compromise the personal accounts of open-source developers to push malicious code. They attack the very infrastructure that hosts the code repositories. The perimeter is no longer a firewall. It's a million different trust relationships with a million different pieces of code from all over the world. We are learning to treat code the same way a nation treats its intelligence: trust but verify. We're locking down the factory floor, securing the ingredients and the assembly line. But what about the factory itself? The cloud environment where all of this code runs is not a static building. It's a dynamic, ever-changing landscape of virtual machines, containers, and functions that can be created and destroyed in milliseconds. We're locking down the code, but the blueprints for the cloud infrastructure itself are being rewritten every second. And in this new architecture, a single misconfigured blueprint can bring the entire enterprise to its knees. So let's talk about that single misconfigured blueprint. Imagine the plans for a new bank vault. Flawless design, impenetrable door, state-of-the-art alarms. But on page 347, in a footnote, some junior architect accidentally specified that the emergency release handle should be installed on the outside of the door instead of the inside. For months the building goes up. Concrete is poured, steel is welded. Nobody catches the error. The bank opens, filled with billions of dollars. And the entire security of the institution rests on the hope that nobody ever reads that one forgotten line in the blueprint and simply pulls the handle. This is the reality of cloud security today. The blueprints we're talking about are called Infrastructure as Code, or IAC. Tools with names like Terraform, CloudFormation, or Ansible have become the bedrock of modern technology. Instead of a team of engineers manually clicking through web pages to set up a server, configure a network, or create a database, they write a script. A text file. This file is the blueprint. It describes the entire desired state of their cloud environment. Hundreds of servers, complex networks, firewalls, databases, all defined in a few pages of code. And here's the magic. They hand this blueprint to the cloud provider, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and say, build this. And in minutes, an entire global infrastructure, identical every single time, materializes out of thin air. Need to deploy your application in a new country? Copy the blueprint, change the region from US East 1 to West 2, and press go. It is an unbelievable superpower. It's how companies like Netflix can scale to serve millions of users on a Friday night, and then scale back down on a quiet Tuesday morning, all automatically. It's the engine of the digital world. But every superpower has a vulnerability. That blueprint, that simple text file, is now the single most critical security artifact in the entire organization. In the old world, a security engineer could walk through a data center, checking physical cables and server racks. They could audit a firewall's configuration by logging into its interface. It was slow and manual, but it was tangible. Now the entire data center exists as code. And that code is being changed, updated, and deployed by developers hundreds of times a day. This speed creates a terrifying new problem. The traditional security model is broken. It used to be that a company would build a product for 6 months, and then, right before launch, they'd throw it over the wall to the security team. The security team would spend weeks scanning it, finding vulnerabilities, and sending it back to the developers to fix. This was the gatekeeper model. It was slow, it created friction, and in the world of the cloud, it's completely impossible. You can't have a security review that takes 2 weeks when the infrastructure it's supposed to be reviewing is being destroyed and rebuilt every 2 hours. The security gate has to move. This is the core idea behind one of the most important transformations in cybersecurity: the shift-left paradigm. Imagine your development process is a timeline from left to right. On the far left is the initial idea. In the middle is the coding and building. On the far right is the deployment to the live environment. Traditional security lived on the far right. Shift left means moving security as far to the left as possible. It means baking security directly into the very first stages of development. It means not waiting to find the flaw in the vault door after the bank is built, but finding it when it's still just a line on the architect's drawing. So how do you do that? How do you check millions of lines of infrastructure code, written by thousands of developers, before it ever gets deployed? You can't hire enough security experts to read it all. The only way to fight code is with more code. This brings us to the next evolution: policy as code. Think of policy as code as the automated, tireless, all-seeing building inspector for your digital blueprints. It's a set of rules, also written in code, that automatically scans your infrastructure as code files for security violations. These rules represent your company's security policy. For example, a rule might state, no database shall ever be exposed directly to the public internet. Another might say, all data storage must have encryption enabled. Or, no user should be given universal, godlike administrative privileges. Now, when a developer tries to submit a new piece of infrastructure code, a blueprint for a new database, for instance, it doesn't go straight to the cloud. First, it's automatically checked by the policy as code engine. The engine reads the developer's blueprint and compares it against the security rulebook. Does the blueprint say to make the database public? The engine screams, violation. It automatically blocks the change and sends a report back to the developer in seconds, saying, this is insecure. Here's the line of code that's wrong, and here's how to fix it. The developer gets instant feedback. They learn. They fix the code, and the system is secure by default, not by accident. This isn't a human gatekeeper slowing things down. It's an automated safety check, like a spell checker for security, built right into the developer's workflow. This is the heart of modern cloud security. It's proactive, not reactive. It scales at the speed of the cloud because it is code. And the consequences of getting this wrong are catastrophic. Let's take the most classic and still most common cloud security disaster: the public S3 bucket. In Amazon Web Services, S3 is a simple storage service. You create a bucket, and you put files in it. By default, it's private. But a single line in a Terraform blueprint, ACL equals public read, can make that bucket and everything inside it completely public. Anyone on the internet with the URL can see and download its contents. You think this is a rookie mistake? In 2019, a massive data breach at Capital One exposed the personal information of over 100 million people. The root cause? A misconfigured web application firewall, which is conceptually identical to a misconfigured blueprint. Time and time again, massive company-ending breaches at some of the world's biggest tech firms, consulting giants, and government contractors have boiled down to a single incorrect line of code in an infrastructure configuration file. They had the impenetrable vault door, but they left the blueprints lying on the front lawn with the keys taped to them. The challenge is that the people writing these blueprints, the developers, are brilliant, but their primary goal is to build features and ship products fast. Security is often an afterthought. They're not malicious. They're just focused on their primary job. The goal of a modern security program isn't to punish them or slow them down. It's to give them the tools, the guardrails, the automated checks to make the secure way the easy way. To embed that security spell checker so deeply into their process that they write secure code by habit. We are shifting security from a specialized department of know into a shared responsibility, an intrinsic property of the system itself. We're securing the assembly line, not just inspecting the car at the end. We've begun to master the art of securing the blueprints, of verifying the architecture before a single digital brick is laid. But this entire strategy is based on one critical assumption: that our defenses are perfect, that our code inspectors will catch every flaw, that we can build the perfect fortress. But what happens when, despite all our efforts, a single mistake slips through? Or worse, what if the attacker doesn't bother trying to break down the walls from the outside? What if they find a way to get a foothold inside our pristine code-defined fortress? Because once they're inside the network, the game changes completely. The blueprints can't help us anymore. We're no longer talking about architecture, we're talking about a live invasion. And in the vast, ephemeral landscape of the cloud, an intruder can be everywhere and nowhere, all at once. This is the digital fog of war. A landscape with no physical boundaries, where the enemy doesn't leave footprints, they leave corrupted data packets and anomalous log entries. When a breach is confirmed, the first emotion isn't panic. It's a surreal, chilling sense of violation. The fortress hasn't just been breached, it's been occupied by a phantom you can't see, touch, or easily locate. The question is no longer, how do we keep them out? It's they're already in. How deep have they gone? And how do we get them out without burning the whole city down? This is the world of incident response, or IR. It's the cybersecurity equivalent of a SWAT team kicking down the door, but the room they're entering is a sprawling, labyrinthine network of interconnected services, containers, and data stores spread across multiple geographic regions. And the clock is ticking, not in minutes but in milliseconds. Let's walk through a scenario. Imagine a massive e-commerce company, we'll call them Omnimart. It's 3 a.m. A junior security analyst, fueled by stale coffee, is staring at a dashboard. An alert fires. It's a low-priority one, something about anomalous API calls originating from a server that handles user profile images. 99 times out of 100, it's a misconfigured app, a bug. But this time it's different. The calls are probing, systematic. They aren't just accessing data. They're testing the boundaries of their permissions, like a thief gently rattling doorknobs down a long hallway, looking for the one that's unlocked. This is the first link in what's known as the cyber kill chain. The intruder has already done their reconnaissance. They found a way in. Maybe a developer accidentally left an access key in a public code repository. A tiny mistake, a single loose thread. Now they've exploited it and established a foothold. The analyst escalates. The incident response team is activated. Their pagers go off, and within minutes, a virtual war room is convened. The first phase is chaos triage. Everyone wants to know everything all at once. How did they get in? What have they accessed? Are they still here? The team lead has to cut through the noise. Their first job is to confirm the threat and understand its scope. This is digital forensics on steroids. They dive into the logs, petabytes of them. AWS CloudTrail logs, VPC flow logs, application logs. It's like trying to find a single grain of black sand on a miles-long white beach. But they're not looking for a needle in a haystack. They're looking for the thread the needle pulled through the entire stack. They're searching for the intruder's digital breadcrumbs. They trace the anomalous API calls back to their source, a compromised microservice. In a traditional data center, this might be a single server you could unplug from the wall. In the cloud, it's not that simple. That microservice is running inside a container, which is part of an auto-scaling group managed by Kubernetes. There might be dozens of identical copies, and they spin up and shut down in seconds. The intruder isn't on a server. They're riding a wave of ephemeral infrastructure. This is where the team makes their first critical decision. Containment. How do you isolate the threat without shutting down OmniMart's entire operation and losing millions of dollars a minute? They can't just pull the plug. Instead, they use the cloud's own power against the attacker. Using infrastructure as code, tools like Terraform or CloudFormation, they can spin up a completely clean, isolated honeypot environment in minutes. They carefully redirect the attacker's traffic into this digital cage without the attacker even realizing they've been moved. Now the intruder is in a sandbox, and the security team can watch their every move, learning their techniques, their tools, and their ultimate objective. What are they after? Customer credit cards? Intellectual property? Or are they trying to use OmniMart's vast computing power to mine cryptocurrency? While the attacker is trapped in the honeypot, the eradication phase begins in the real production environment. The team has identified the compromised access key. They revoke it instantly, cutting off the intruder's primary way in. They patch the vulnerability that allowed the key to be exposed. Then they trigger what's called a blue-green deployment. They use their automation scripts to deploy an entirely new, clean version of the entire infrastructure, the green environment. Once it's up and verified, they switch all user traffic over to it. The old compromised blue environment, along with any hidden backdoors or malware the attacker might have planted, is simply deleted, wiped from existence with a few lines of code. It never could have happened that fast, that cleanly, in a physical data center. Finally, there's recovery and the postmortem. The systems are back online, the intruder is gone. But the work isn't over. The team now has to piece together the entire story of the attack, from the initial intrusion to the final exfiltration attempt. They write a detailed report. What went wrong? What went right? How can we prevent this specific attack from ever happening again? This feedback loop is what separates good security teams from great ones. They don't just fix the problem. They learn from it, hardening their defenses, refining their playbooks, and training their people. But here's the unsettling truth. This entire process, this reactive defense, is already a losing game. Waiting for the alarm to go off means the intruder has already won the first battle. They're inside the walls. This realization led to a paradigm shift in cloud security. The move from passive defense to active defense. The rise of the threat hunter. A threat hunter is a different breed of security professional. They don't wait for alerts. Their core philosophy is assume breach. They operate under the assumption that a clever attacker is already inside the network, moving silently, evading all the automated alarms. The threat hunter's job is to find them before they can achieve their objective. They don't follow a playbook, they follow their instincts, armed with a deep understanding of the attacker's mindset and a powerful set of data analysis tools. They start with a hypothesis. For example, I believe an attacker could be using DNS tunneling to exfiltrate data slowly, to avoid detection. Then they dive into the data to prove or disprove that hypothesis. They're looking for the faint signals in the noise, a process that communicates with an unusual domain, a user account that logs in at 3 a.m. from a country they've never been to, a data transfer that's just a few kilobytes too large to be normal. They are digital profilers, sifting through behavior to find the one that doesn't belong. This is where the scale of the cloud becomes both a challenge and an incredible advantage. No human can manually sift through the trillions of events generated by a large cloud environment every day. So threat hunters rely on machine learning and AI. These systems can analyze baseline behavior for every user, every server, every application, and every API call. They learn what normal looks like with a level of granularity that is simply superhuman. Then, they flag the subtle deviations from that normal, the very deviations a human hunter might hypothesize about. The AI becomes their bloodhound, sniffing out the trail, allowing the human expert to focus on the complex, creative work of cornering the prey. This constant, proactive hunt changes the entire dynamic of cybersecurity. It transforms security from a static wall that you hope is tall enough into a living, breathing immune system that is constantly patrolling, constantly questioning, constantly seeking out and neutralizing threats before they can become a crisis. The fight is no longer at the gate. It's in every corridor, every server, every line of code. The battlefield has moved inward, and the defenders are no longer just guards. They are hunters. So what does it mean to be a hunter in this digital wilderness? A guard waits for the alarm. A hunter studies the terrain, learns the patterns of their prey, and strikes before the alarm even has a chance to sound. This proactive stance is built on a foundation of intelligence. Not just data, but actionable intelligence. In cybersecurity, this is called threat intelligence. Imagine having a global network of informants, feeding you real-time updates on every new tactic, every new piece of malware, every new command and control server being set up by threat actors across the planet. That's what modern threat intelligence feeds provide. They are the continuously updated maps of the digital battlefield, highlighting enemy movements before they even reach your borders. This intelligence tells the hunter what to look for. It provides the indicators of compromise, or IOCs, the digital fingerprints left behind by attackers. An IOC could be a malicious IP address, a specific file hash, or a suspicious domain name. Without this intelligence, a security team is flying blind, only able to react to the most obvious and often most destructive attacks. With it, they can proactively search their own networks for these subtle fingerprints, finding a hidden adversary who thought they were still operating in the shadows. It's the difference between waiting for a house to be on fire and finding the faulty wiring before the first spark. But having a map is one thing, being able to see your own position on it in real time is another. The sheer volume of activity in a modern cloud environment is staggering. We're talking about billions of events per day. Logins, file accesses, network connections, API calls. It's a torrent of data that no human team could ever sift through manually. This is where a critical piece of technology comes into play. The SIEM, which stands for Security Information and Event Management. Think of a SIEM as the central nervous system of the cloud security operation. It's a massive intelligent brain that ingests all of this data from every corner of the environment, from servers, applications, firewalls, user directories, you name it. Its job is to correlate these billions of seemingly unrelated data points and find the sinister patterns hidden within the noise. A single failed login is not an alarm. 1,000 failed logins from the same IP address in 10 seconds? That's an alarm. A user logging in from New York and then 5 minutes later from North Korea? That's a physical impossibility and a massive red flag. A developer accessing a sensitive database they've never touched before. Right after clicking a link in a suspicious email, the SIEM connects those dots. It's the tool that allows the hunter to see the faint tracks in the snow, to follow the trail of breadcrumbs the attacker leaves behind, no matter how carefully they try to cover their path. This is where the hunt truly begins. An analyst sees an alert from the SIEM. They see the pattern. They see the initial signs of a breach. Now what? In the old world, this would trigger a frantic manual process. Phone calls, emails, trouble tickets. An analyst would have to manually log into a firewall to block an IP address. They'd have to manually disable a user account. They'd have to manually isolate a server. All of this takes time, minutes, sometimes hours. And in the world of cloud computing, where an attacker can exfiltrate an entire database in under a minute, time is the one resource you cannot afford to waste. Enter the hunter's most powerful weapon, SOAR. Security orchestration, automation, and response. If the SIEM is the brain that detects the threat, SOAR is the muscle that acts on it with machine speed. SOAR platforms integrate with all the other security tools in the environment and allow teams to build automated playbooks. A playbook is a predefined set of actions to be taken when a specific type of threat is detected. Let's make this real. The CM detects that a user's credentials have been compromised and are being used to download sensitive files. The moment that alert fires, it triggers a SOAR playbook. Instantly, without any human intervention, the playbook executes. Step 1. The compromised user account is automatically locked, severing the attacker's access. Step 2. The endpoint device the user was logged into is automatically quarantined from the network, containing any potential malware. Step 3. The malicious IP address the attacker was coming from is automatically added to a block list on every firewall in the company. Step 4. A high-priority ticket is automatically created in the incident response system with all the relevant data from the CM, and the on-call analyst is alerted. All of this happens in less than a second. This is the force multiplier. This is how a small team of hunters can defend a massive, sprawling cloud infrastructure. They leverage automation to handle the known threats, the repetitive tasks, the immediate containment actions, freeing up their most valuable asset, their own minds, to focus on the truly complex and unknown threats. Because technology, as incredible as it is, can't do everything. The most sophisticated adversaries, the state-sponsored groups and elite cybercriminal syndicates, know how these automated systems work. They design their attacks to be slow, subtle, and to look like normal user behavior. They are chameleons blending in with the background noise, specifically trying to avoid triggering the automated alarms. This is where the human threat hunter earns their keep. These are the elite defenders. They don't wait for an alert. They form a hypothesis and go looking for evil. They might ask, what if an attacker got in through our marketing partner's API? What would that look like? What artifacts would they leave? And then they dive into the data, into the raw logs within the CM, and they search. They look for the anomalies that are too subtle for a machine to flag. They look for the 1 in a billion event that signals a sophisticated human adversary on the other side. They combine their knowledge of attacker techniques with a deep understanding of their own environment and an intuition that can only be developed through experience. They are the masters of the craft, using their tools not as a crutch, but as an extension of their own senses. Let's walk through a scenario. A hunter at a major financial services company has a hunch. There's been a recent string of attacks on their industry targeting a specific vulnerability in a common piece of software. Their automated scanners say they're patched, they're safe. But the hunter is paranoid. They think, what if the patch didn't apply correctly on one server out of 10,000? What if an attacker found that one server? So they start digging. They don't search for the vulnerability itself. They search for the symptoms of its exploitation. Using the CM, they craft a complex query, looking for a very specific sequence of network activity that on its own looks harmless, but when combined, matches the known pattern of this new attack. For hours, they get nothing, just the normal hum of the network. But then a single hit. One server, a seemingly non-critical development server, made a specific type of outbound connection just once 3 days ago at 2 a.m. So whisper, a ghost in the machine. But it's enough. The hunter pivots. They pull every log file associated with that server around that time, and they find it. The attacker successfully exploited the vulnerability, gained a foothold, and then immediately went quiet trying to blend in. They created a local user account with a non-suspicious name. They installed a rootkit that was designed to evade standard antivirus detection. From there, they began to slowly, carefully map the internal network. The hunter, seeing this, doesn't just block the server. That would be like cutting off one head of a hydra and tipping off the attacker that they've been found. Instead, they, along with the incident response team, move into a monitoring phase. They watch every move the attacker makes in real time, within a contained environment. They learn their objectives, they identify every tool they use, they find every other system they've touched. They are hunting the hunter. And only when they have a complete picture of the entire intrusion do they act. In a single coordinated move, they execute a master response plan. Every compromised account is disabled, every malicious file is removed, every backdoor is closed, and the attacker is surgically and completely evicted from the network. This is the new reality of cloud defense. It's not a static wall. It's a living, breathing, intelligent immune system. It's a synthesis of global threat intelligence, massive-scale data correlation, lightning-fast automation, and the irreplaceable intuition of a skilled human operator. It is a perpetual high-stakes chess match played in milliseconds across a global board. The goal is no longer just to prevent a breach because the modern mindset accepts that a breach at some point is inevitable. The new goal is to make your environment so hostile, so difficult to operate in, and so quick to respond, that the attacker is found and ejected before they can ever achieve their objective. It's about resilience, not just resistance. This shift in mindset from resistance to resilience changes everything. It's the difference between building a supposedly impenetrable bank vault and designing a casino. A bank vault has one job: keep people out. If someone gets in, it's game over. But a casino? A casino expects people to try and cheat. It's designed from the ground up with the assumption that bad actors are already inside, walking among the legitimate customers. The security isn't just at the front door. It's everywhere. It's the cameras watching every table. The pit boss is trained to spot subtle tells. The security teams that can converge on a location in seconds. The goal isn't to prevent a card counter from ever sitting down. It's to identify them and escort them out before they can do any real damage. That is the model for modern cloud security. We assume the breach. We plan for it. So how do you build this digital casino? How do you create an environment so hostile to an attacker that they can't function? It starts with visibility. You cannot defend what you cannot see. In the sprawling, dynamic landscape of the cloud, this is a monumental challenge. We're not talking about a handful of servers in a closet anymore. We're talking about thousands of virtual machines, containers that exist for only a few minutes, serverless functions that fire once and disappear, and data flowing between dozens of services across multiple continents. Trying to watch all of this manually is like trying to watch every single grain of sand on a beach at the same time. It's impossible. This is where a technology called SIEM comes in. That's SIEM, for Security Information and Event Management. Think of a SIEM as the central nervous system of your security operations. It's the ultimate security camera room. It pulls and logs and event data from every single corner of your cloud environment. Every login attempt, every file access, every network connection, every configuration change. It's a fire hose of raw data, billions of events a day. On its own, this data is just noise. But the magic of a SIEM is its ability to correlate these disparate events. It can connect the dots. It can see a failed login from an unrecognized IP address in Ukraine, followed 2 seconds later by a successful login for the same account from an IP address in Ohio. It flags that as a geographically impossible travel event. It can see a user who normally only accesses marketing files suddenly trying to access the source code for your core product at 3 a.m. It flags that as a behavioral anomaly. The SIEM is the digital pit boss, constantly scanning for the tiny, subtle tells that indicate someone is cheating the system. It's the first line of intelligent awareness. But awareness is only half the battle. If your security team sees an alert at 3 a.m., but everyone is asleep, what good is it? The attacker has a window of hours to operate freely. The speed of cloud attacks is now measured in minutes, not days. By the time a human analyst has had their coffee and logged in, the data could already be gone. This is why the next layer is so critical. SOAR. SOAR, security orchestration, automation, and response. If SIEM is the nervous system that detects the threat, SOAR is the reflex action. It's the automated muscle that responds instantly, without human intervention. When the SIEM sends out a critical alert, like that impossible travel scenario, it triggers a predefined playbook in the SOAR platform. Instantly, the SOAR can take action. Step 1. Automatically lock the user account to prevent further access. Step 2. Isolate the virtual machine that the login came from, cutting it off from the rest of the network so it can't spread malware. Step 3. Create a ticket in the incident response system with all the relevant data, and notify the on-call security analyst. All of this happens in milliseconds. It's the digital equivalent of a tripwire that not only sounds an alarm but also drops a cage, locks the doors, and sends a flare-up, all at the same time. This is how you shrink the attacker's window of opportunity from hours down to seconds. You're fighting machine speed attacks with machine speed defense. This combination of SIEM and SOAR creates a powerful reactive defense. But the philosophy of resilience demands more. It demands that we go on the hunt. This introduces one of the most fascinating fields in cybersecurity: threat hunting. A threat hunter operates on a simple, chilling premise. We are already compromised. The attacker is already inside. They've bypassed our automated defenses, and they are moving silently like a ghost in the machine. A threat hunter's job is to find them before they achieve their goal. This is not about waiting for an alert. This is proactive, hypothesis-driven investigation. A threat hunter might start their day with a hypothesis like, I believe an attacker could be using a legitimate cloud administration tool to hide their traffic and move laterally across our network. They then dive into the raw data looking for the evidence. They're not looking for a blaring alarm. They're looking for whispers. They're looking for a process that's running under a common name like svcos.exe, but it's making a network connection to a strange domain. They're looking for a user account that is accessing systems at odd hours, in a sequence that doesn't match their normal job function. It's a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, played out in terabytes of data. It's digital forensics but on a live breathing system. Finding a sophisticated attacker this way is like finding a single camouflage sniper in a dense jungle. It requires immense skill, intuition, and a deep understanding of both the attacker's tactics and your own environment. All of these strategies, total visibility, automated response, and proactive hunting, are pillars supporting the most significant architectural shift in modern security: zero trust. The name says it all. The old model of security was trust but verify. It was based on the idea of a perimeter, a castle wall. Anything inside the wall was trusted, and anything outside was untrusted. If you were on the corporate network, you were generally given broad access. That model is dead. In the cloud, there is no perimeter. Your data is in one provider, your applications in another, and your users are working from home, a coffee shop, or an airport. The castle wall has dissolved. Zero trust architecture flips the model on its head. The new mantra is never trust, always verify. It assumes that there is no inside of the network. Every single request for data, for access, for anything must be treated as if it came from an untrusted network. It doesn't matter if it's your CEO or a new intern, whether they are on the corporate Wi-Fi or using a personal cell phone. Every single time they try to access a resource, they must be authenticated and authorized. Their identity must be proven. The health and security of their device must be checked. The permissions for that specific resource must be explicitly granted. Think about it this way. In the old model, once you showed your ID at the front gate of a military base, you could wander around pretty freely. In a zero-trust model, you have to show your ID and your specific orders at the door to every single building, every single floor, and every single room you try to enter. Access to one room gives you no implied access to the room next door. This principle of least privilege is enforced relentlessly and dynamically. It dramatically reduces the attacker's ability to move laterally. If they manage to compromise one user's laptop, they can't use it as a launching pad to take over the whole network. They are trapped in a tiny, confined box, and every move they try to make triggers another authentication check, another log entry, another chance for them to be caught. This is how you build that hostile environment. You force the attacker to operate in a world where they are constantly being challenged, constantly being watched, and constantly at risk of being discovered. The goal is to make staying hidden so exhausting, so difficult, and so noisy that they either give up, or they make a mistake that gets them caught. And this brings us to the fundamental shift in modern cybersecurity. It's no longer a passive game of building walls and waiting for an attack. It's an active, persistent hunt. It's about assuming you've already been breached, and your job is to find the intruder who is desperately trying to stay quiet. We've moved from being castle guards to being counterintelligence agents operating behind enemy lines, within our own networks. The cloud, with its vast logging capabilities and centralized control planes, is the perfect theater for this new kind of operation. We can see the digital footprints, we can spot the anomalies, we can set the traps. The goal is to shrink the attacker's world until they have nowhere left to hide. But as our defenses evolve, so do the threats. We are standing on the precipice of a new arms race, one fought not with steel, but with silicon and software. I'm talking about artificial intelligence. For years, we've been hearing about how AI will revolutionize cybersecurity, how machine learning algorithms will detect threats with superhuman speed and accuracy. And that's true. AI is our most powerful new shield. It can analyze billions of data points in a second, identifying a sophisticated attack pattern that a team of human analysts might miss over a lifetime. It can automate responses, isolating a compromised system in milliseconds, long before a human could even finish reading an alert email. But here's the terrifying symmetry of innovation. Every tool we build for defense can be repurposed for attack. The same AI that we use to protect our networks is now being used to attack them. Attackers are using generative AI to create flawless phishing emails in any language, perfectly mimicking the tone of a CEO or a trusted colleague. They're using machine learning to create polymorphic malware that changes its own code every time it replicates, making it nearly impossible for traditional signature-based antivirus to detect. They are launching AI-powered credential stuffing attacks that learn from their failures, trying millions of password combinations in a way that cleverly mimics human behavior to avoid detection. What we are witnessing is the dawn of algorithmic warfare. AI against AI. Our defensive algorithms watching for patterns, their offensive algorithms trying to create chaos without a pattern. It's a battle fought at the speed of light, in the silent circuits of data centers around the world. And in this battle, the side with the better data, the better models, and the faster response time wins. This is the new frontier. And it's why cloud providers are in a frantic race to build the most powerful AI security platforms on the planet. They have the data, they have the computing power, and they have the talent. This technological arms race forces another, more human evolution. For decades, security was seen as the department of no. They were the ones you brought a project to at the very end, only to have them tell you all the reasons you couldn't launch it. That model is dead. In the world of cloud computing and rapid development, where code is deployed hundreds or even thousands of times a day, security can't be an afterthought. It has to be part of the very first thought. This is a concept called shifting left. Imagine a timeline of software development. On the far right is the launch. On the far left is the initial idea. Shifting left means moving security from the end of the process to the very beginning. It means security is no longer just the security team's job. It's everyone's job. It's the developer's job to write secure code from the start. It's the architect's job to design systems that are resilient by default. It's the product manager's job to think about potential abuse cases before a feature is even designed. This is known as DevSecOps, Development, Security, and Operations. It's a cultural change where security is automated and integrated directly into the development pipeline. Before a single line of code gets pushed to production, it's automatically scanned for vulnerabilities. The cloud infrastructure itself is defined as code, and that code is scanned for misconfigurations. Security isn't a gate, it's a guardrail. It doesn't stop you from moving fast, it stops you from driving off a cliff. This fundamentally changes the role of a security professional. They are no longer gatekeepers, they are enablers. They're creating the tools, the platforms, and the training to empower developers to build securely at speed. And yet, for all our incredible technology, for all the AI, the automation, and the cryptography, the single greatest vulnerability in any system remains unchanged. It's us, human beings. The vast majority of successful cyber attacks don't start with a brilliant hacker breaking a complex encryption algorithm. They start with a simple email, a text message, a moment of lapsed judgment, an employee clicking a link they shouldn't have, or a developer accidentally posting a secret access key to a public code repository. Technology can't fix a lack of awareness. This is why the culture of an organization is its ultimate security control. A culture where people feel comfortable reporting a mistake, where they're encouraged to question a suspicious email, where security training isn't a boring annual chore, but an engaging, continuous process. In the cloud era, where one single compromised credential can hand an attacker the keys to the entire kingdom, this human element is more critical than ever. We can build the most secure fortress in the world, but it means nothing if someone inside willingly opens the front gate. Looking forward, the very concept of the cloud is expanding. It's no longer confined to massive, centralized data centers. It's moving to the edge, to the factory floor, the self-driving car, the hospital room, the smart city grid. Billions of small, interconnected devices are generating and processing data right where they are. This creates an incredible new attack surface. Securing this distributed, sprawling network is the next grand challenge. The principles we've learned in the cloud, zero trust, identity management, automated monitoring, are the only things that can help us tame this complexity. So, after this entire journey, what is the role of cybersecurity in modern cloud computing? It's not just about firewalls and antivirus software anymore. It's the silent enabler of our digital world. It's the foundation of trust. Without it, online banking is impossible. E-commerce grinds to a halt. The global supply chain collapses. Our critical infrastructure, power grids, water supplies, communication networks, becomes fragile. Cybersecurity is the invisible architecture that allows for innovation. It gives companies the confidence to build new products, to store sensitive research, and to collaborate on a global scale. It gives us, as individuals, the confidence to share our lives online, to connect with loved ones, and to access information without fear. The battle to secure the cloud is not a war that will be won. There is no final victory, no end date. It is a state of constant vigilance, a perpetual dance between innovation and exploitation, between protection and intrusion. It's a human endeavor, driven by the ingenuity of defenders and the cunning of adversaries. The cloud is not just someone else's computer. It is the collective nervous system of our modern civilization. And protecting it is not just a job for a handful of specialists. It is a shared responsibility. It requires a new level of digital literacy and a commitment from all of us. Whether you are a software engineer building the future, a business leader making strategic decisions, or simply a user of these incredible technologies, you have a role to play. The security of our digital world is ultimately a reflection of our collective choices, our awareness, and our resolve. The future isn't just something that happens to us. It's something we build. Let's build it to be secure.